this movie.
Here, a little.
I got some trivia for it.
Do you?
It feels like it was a video game.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. That's not...
And an older video game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dylan, get us going.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, clap. Sing.
You're lucky I had my hands full.
Is this always going to be a thing? Do we need to talk about this?
Nope. Welcome to another loud, bombastic, egregious.
Yeah, the gradual.
I'm looking at that. Somehow I'm the lowest.
Sometimes
And I'm definitely the shortest.
Yeah, that was like not even episode of the AT&T. Sorry, the F and Movie
Singular
podcast. We're your hosts, Price, Mason, Dylan, and Nathan, in that order, not in that height order. Today, feel rock it out, buddy.
Yeah.
This is the magic of camera. They have 15 pounds. That's the problem.
I look like an ant.
I gained 15 pounds and lost 7 inches.
Yeah. My condolences to Kelly Jr. So, Mason, what are we watching?
Dear God.
Or what have we watched?
This week we're watching the movie 9, an animated, I don't even know what.
Video game movie.
I didn't
Apocalyptic.
actually look into who made this. Was this...
It's Focus Features, but I don't know
Yeah.
what like animation studio.
Yeah.
Focus put it out.
Was Tim Burton not attached to this?
Producer.
It felt like it though, didn't
I thought he
it?
was
Yeah.
producer on this one.
So I can see where you come from with that idea, but I didn't actually quite get that feel from
I
it myself.
totally got it
Like
the whole time.
you could imagine just from like the whole stitched up kind of thing, like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of style that he has, but
Mhm.
it didn't have the kind of Tim Burton flair that I would expect
didn't-
if he had his name.
It didn't have the
associated.
zaniness and like some of
Yeah.
that stuff either, but like it was such a dreary, like eerie movie altogether.
He was a producer. I was right.
Was he?
Rotten Tomatoes tagline.
He was attached to it. I remember thinking
Yeah.
I saw that in the credits on that part because I
Okay.
was like, yeah, this is probably
The
very good.
tagline for Rotten Tomatoes is incoherent but incredibly imaginative.
Well, we'll see if we agree with that headline.
That's
But,
such a subtle stab.
yeah.
That's a big stab.
Damn.
Yes, Tim
Alright,
Burton.
well, let's jump
producing.
into it. What
Yeah.
what the hell is this movie?
Well,
yeah, basically.
Basically, what you start to learn is that there are 9 of these little Sackboy type things that are made by the scientist. For whatever reason, they
Little
have
Big
life.
Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that look just like the PlayStation exclusive Little Big Planet. Anyways, they all eventually come together and they realize that this big machine robot has wiped off the planet Earth.
War of the
all
Worlds
its
for those
humans.
who had seen that.
So that was Aliens.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Was like that was actually Aliens. I thought about comparing that movie to this.
But the big,
But the
tall,
big
like,
machines
walk-
were.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The
kinda, like
Yeah.
I thought it was shot for shot taking from the trailer of World of the Worlds at one point, like the kid, the dad running in the trailer.
Yeah.
I'll clip that in there later.
But yeah, after they meet up, they decide that they need to try to start saving what humanity has left and destroy the machine altogether. The tiniest little things taking down the biggest, massivest things ever.
So I guess you could call this movie Rage Against the Machine.
You could call this movie a lot. I think this movie is
I
a
don't-
lot of things.
I don't feel like I got the vibe that they were trying to like redeem humanity or anything.
Well,
like
they were
that.
trying to get rid of the
They-
nuisance, which
Yeah,
is
they-
the machine.
They just like I feel like there's a couple of them that had this compulsion to like deal with that machine
Yeah.
in some manner, which honestly they could have left it alone because it was turned off.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was the worst part of the whole movie.
Was when Elijah Wood turned it on?
Well, yeah, number 9
I-
said, "Oh,
I
Oh,
screamed.
this is where this
Fits.
goes.
yeah,
I won't lie.
I would have done that."
No, you would
I would've done
You
that.
would have, it would have been me or Price who got our fucking soul sucked up into it.
I hope it was his.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm just
is.
kidding.
But no, I'll say right now, the movie immediately just frustrates me from that point forward onwards. Like, I see that part and I'm like, why? Are you telling me that this only happens because son of a...
Well,
So, the thing is,
there's a
though-
lot of stuff with that creature and the interaction that it has and like the device itself that turns it on that left me thinking, because I've seen this before but it's been a very long time so I basically didn't remember it. It made me think that what this was going to end up being was that ultimately they all needed to like be consumed by this thing to like
Yeah.
you know
Be
like,
able to
That's them
release-
free,
some kind
right.
of way
100%.
because what 6 I think it was kept saying like they needed to return to the
Yes.
source.
They're in there. They're
Yeah.
trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's the thing. It's like there were still these bad robots lurking around before this thing got involved. So it wasn't that like everything was safe beforehand. So, enabling this big monster thing wasn't exactly the end of their days. It was just another thing that added on to a pretty bad world already.
But if it's like a Terminator like metaphor here, right? It's like
another movie I was gonna compare it to.
Skynet was like, we're making Terminators. All right, I kind of have a job. I'm going to sleep mode. And then like they kind of dealt with what felt like most of the Terminators.
Yeah,
and then they
like
woke up
one or
Skynet.
two left.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, let's turn the robot factory back on.
Which turned a lot of more out. Like those little like
yeah.
spider things
and
all
the like
kinds
the
of
snake
and
one.
stuff.
Yes.
So all right,
that thing was cool. The snail thing.
My credit. I'll give credit to the one redeeming thing in the tail end of this movie for me. It was the snake one was pretty neat.
He was the coolest.
When the little flickering lights, and then it got. Also, it was followed up by like the good one too of like seeing that the big dumb idiot magnet his brain to get like effectively high, and I'm
He
like,
kept just putting it on there.
yeah, and I'm like, that's price. Like,
Why buy everyone?
Yeah, I don't know. And then like the flickery snake thing comes over. I'm like, all right, this thing's pretty gnarly, but no, I'm mad because we got here in the first place, and then I'm mad that by the time we get to the whole soul thing, I was with you. I was like, all right, they're all supposed to get captured. Like this is like this is that.
It's like that they. Like, the whole thing where they're like, oh, no, don't kill it. It seemed like it was really heavily implying the idea that they needed to, like, become one with this thing, that would, like, fix the problem.
Because because the professor guy said that he was the only one that could control it,
right,
or something like that, because he got taken from the machine, and that's when it went crazy.
And then
so it makes sense because the professor put his soul into them,
which we've not really said, but that's like these 9 are brought
pieces
to life
of him,
split soul, right? Yeah, which also more questions. What?
Yeah, like, some like also. I mean, this whole thing was like very much. This was Nazi Germany, right?
Yeah.
Like,
there was definitely a dictator.
Heavily implied. Like doesn't overtly look like it, but it's stylistically so close.
Yeah.
It's just like crazy that there's this scientist that's like, not only did I build the world's first AI that's able to like be a robot that builds more robots, but also I figured out how to build a device that can suck your soul out of your body.
Put your soul into little things.
He saw Harry Potter, saw the Dementors, and was like, that's a good idea.
Also watching Harry Potter, I learned how to quantify the soul and split it into 9 different little.
So these are little Horcruxes running around.
Yeah, like
doing
effectively.
stuff.
Side note. Our viewers who may know more know about this on the Bible side of things, Kelly Senior, I'm referring to you on that one probably. Is that sacrilegious? Let me know in the comments below.
The thing that I did like this movie for what it was, but the 2 things that got me the most is that all of the Sackboys were for some reason voiced by very famous people, and it was very distracting.
Vaguely famous. I actually have the opposite.
Elijah Wood, John C. Reilly.
Okay, yeah, he was
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly, that's who it was. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
name 2 things she's in.
It didn't
Jennifer
particularly
Connelly?
distract me.
I can't.
I know who she is, but the other thing was that this movie is. It's only an hour, like 10 minutes long. It's not very long. And it felt like 1 hour solid is just straight action. And some of it was neat and original, and I enjoyed it. But when you only have an hour and 10 minutes to work with, and you're working with such obtuse material where, like, you don't know what's going on, you don't understand the mechanics of the world, and it feels like an hour of it is action, and 10 minutes are expository dialogue, to me, they didn't use that runtime effectively.
I feel like this goes back to where I just keep saying, like, this seems like it was a video game.
Yeah, no, this was like, heavy video game vibes, like, through and through. This was just an adventure game.
This is just like watching somebody's playthrough of a video game.
Yeah.
Which you would think would be trendy nowadays, but not so much on a movie watch with it. Side note, this is not so much a fault against the movie itself, so to speak, but because of its name, it was incredibly difficult to find on any, because it's not on any streaming platform, and I won't lie, I may have had to find some.
You can rent it.
Yeah, you could.
I rented it.
I will say I didn't, and that's all I'm gonna say.
This movie cost me about $4.
Nope.
I appreciate that, but I do think that, like, the uniqueness of the name with a lot of other unique traits that go into this movie. You know, we talked about a couple of the cons, and like you said, I agree, it's too short, really. But the pros that I have for this movie are you can tell pretty easily, like, number 1 is way different than number 4, 6, and 9. Number 2 is just as old as number 1. The fabric, the stitching, it's all sloppy, it's all old and messy. You know, and then, like, number 8 has cleaner. Number 9 is, like, his eyeballs are actually a lot smoother. I don't know if you guys saw, like, the lead guy, number 1, he had, like, old-fashioned, like, blinks.
Well, so it was using the same shutter, but it
Yeah.
was using it in a way to like look just more.
There were less
angry about
panels
Yeah.
closing or something. It was
Yeah,
like,
I felt like that was just kind of like I thought that was cool, but it was cool in the same way of like using the exact same piece of equipment to like make a different kind of expression out of it.
yeah.
So to that point, I would like. I think that it's like cool character design, and you know, I mean, again, my bigger strength was like the whole snake segment and that whole run of it.
I
so.
mean, yeah, if you're talking character design, the enemies are like the
Insanely good.
bird.
Yeah, the
was
bird one's
really
cool.
impressive.
Like, yeah, I mean, I would say like the boss fights on this one or that, but I think my frustration
in
with
any
it.
video game, the boss fight
Right,
is
and
what it's
and
about,
you're right. This is
Yeah.
more video game the more you talk about it. But I think the other part that kind of gets me on it though is it just felt like it was. I watched like the same 20-minute segment 3 or 4 times in a row. It was like, here's a little character, here's some story, here's a boss fight. Rinse, repeat that segment 4 times. Literally, it was cat, bird, snake, Skynet.
Master, yeah.
Right, like Skynet and then Skynet Part 2.
Yeah, because despite there being all those spiders, they didn't actually confront a single one of them.
Not a
No,
one of them.
They were just
there
like
were
scary.
tons of them.
Yeah.
Also, quick, the smug reference of sending Elijah Wood into what very clearly looks like Mordor was not lost on me for that. Nobody else see that?
I didn't.
Oh, man.
So to me, Elijah's performance in this was not so strong as
No.
to like even be noticeable as him.
No,
That's
I think
what
he's
I'm
I think he's
saying.
good with it. I just knew
Like,
it was
well,
Elijah Wood.
I feel like he just wasn't like that emotive. Like it didn't feel like he really put a lot into it.
He was the main character, but like I felt like this movie did a pretty darn good job. Besides like number 3 and 4, they really put a lot more character into all the other 6 of them.
Yeah.
Because like number 5.
Who's
7. 7 was the badass.
Who's Connolly? Who's the killer
7.
one? 7.
Seven.
Yeah.
7's cool.
That's a missed opportunity to make it 6, and 6 and 9 have the romance.
I'm
I
glad
am
it didn't
annoyed
get
by
too
that.
wild
I
with
am
that.
annoyed by that.
And to me, they all were just one-note characters. Like
I mean, yeah.
they were numbers, and they had one trait. That's what they were. That's it.
Are you calling these characters straw dolls? I've got more.
They're,
You are on
They're
it.
also just all fragments of one person.
Right.
too.
So fairly, like I'm
Well, and most of them
forgiving
were
for that
cowards
reason.
too. You know, it's like
Yeah.
there was really only 2 people. Like that big number 8, like he actually had that cool part with the bird whenever it was
Mhm.
attacking. Like he one shot it basically. I don't know. I actually liked all of the characters. Number 5 was my only real issue. I'm sorry. Number 6 was my only real issue
The
because
artist.
Yeah.
yeah, because he had like a different type of fabric, and
Mhm.
like of course he was a little bit crazy. He was a little bit weird, a little bit out there. I didn't understand why his fabric was that way either, unless the creator knew that he was going to have the creative side to him. He was like, I'm just gonna dress him up as a zebra, as like a Joker.
Well, and
I don't know.
I wonder if
That's
that's a little chicken before the egg stuff too, right? Like if he's like splitting his soul, like
That's what I
also.
thought it was.
Also, I find that concept much more interesting than the movie we got. Like, frankly, if he's just like, a little bit of this one, and then like, alright, here's all the manly mix of me, that he's gonna be a dumb idiot, but he's gonna know how to
Here
bench.
goes all of my courage.
Yes.
Yeah, here's all my fear into this guy. who
Here's all
wants
my
to hide behind the
creativity.
wall, yeah.
Here's my twins. Question mark. I don't know about that one.
Twins.
Well, I feel
Always
like
favorite.
the twins were both like very much into like cataloging and science.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
just
his
like he was a
intellect.
scientist,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I had enough for
maybe
2.
He had
Yeah.
2 parts
Yeah.
of that in his
It's
head.
right and left brain, I guess, if you want to go into that one. But I feel like I'm thinking harder than the movie is at that point. And
I don't
that's
think
where-
this movie requires any hard thinking at
No,
all.
you're
You're just,
right.
like along for that ride, and that sure that sequence of wash, rinse, repeat, but
Mhm.
like I don't know.
Who do you think this was made for? Do you think this was like
That's
made
what
to
I'm
be a
wondering.
like a
No,
children's movie?
Not children.
Yeah.
I think that this movie stands above some of the other animated movies that we've seen just because they are dropping characters every 20 minutes or less.
This is the Suicide Squad.
It
of animated
is.
characters.
You are losing this cast as you go. Like there's actual stakes at hand. People are dying left and right, and by the end, there is no happy ending. There is a floating scene where they're all waving goodbye, And then there's this end dialogue or monologue rather of like, yeah, I guess we'll just see where we go from here. You know, there's no happy ending up to the end of the story at all, which I appreciate.
Well, and the whole
foremost.
thing is the main character's fault.
Yeah, strictly
Everybody's
speaking.
dead because of him.
You're exactly
No,
right.
at one point the what number is the pastor?
One.
The one
The
is
priest.
the
Yeah,
leader.
that's right.
Where he like steps in to save 9.
Yeah,
Yeah, finally.
at one point, one is like straight up like, "This is all your fault. You're like all this thing," and I'm like, "He's right.
No, he is
He's
right.
100% right."
But one is also like one of the worst characters.
Yeah,
in the
I
band.
mean, he's like this strongly like
he might as well be the
religious, zealot
dictator,
conservative. Right?
You know,
Yeah.
like that was also featured in all those videos.
Mhm.
I mean, he still at least like he told them not to go and tried making them not going, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't seem overly malicious. Like
It's not that he was evil. It was just that he was just like
he knew something that the
conservatively,
others
yeah.
didn't. Which did that ever get fleshed out?
What was it now?
No,
Like they kept saying that he knew something that everybody else didn't, which is why he
Oh,
no, that kind of gets fleshed
Like
out by the
some
time
position?
I feel like that they're talking about like the soul device and everything like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of implied that
Maybe.
he knew about that, but
Yeah.
like
kept. Oh, okay.
he wasn't
I-
letting 2 through 8 or 2 through 9 on in on that one.
I missed that, I guess.
That's fair. It's a missable movie. But yeah, I wish I had more praises for it. Like I just don't.
Well, I mean, from a,
The
Yeah, thoughts?
from a design aspect, there's a lot of good design work.
There is,
but whenever we talk just the visual presentation, it's quite lacking. You know, it's. Well, I keep saying that it feels like a video game because it feels like an older video game. Like all of that stuff could be rendered in a game now.
Yeah, this is like Gears of War 1.
Easily.
Like
You know, and like there's just like not a whole lot anywhere in any given scene. There's not like that kind of like super deep detailing of any area in particular. Like so many places that they are feel very barren. And I know that it's like a battlefield or whatnot, but there's just generally a big lack of detail to everything about this world except for the character designs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like there was this pile of rubble versus that pile of rubble versus a bigger pile of rubble, essentially.
And
but-
they spend the entirety of this movie probably in like a single city block almost.
Yeah.
Like it's very small because they retread to the same locations multiple times.
yeah.
yeah,
And how convenient 7 was to show up twice in the nick of time kind of deal within
Yeah.
that block of street.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's a small place.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
I think it just reminded me. I really would have rather watched Toy Story. A lot.
So I actually got Toy Story vibes from this movie too,
Yeah.
where it's just like these things are in a place where they should not be. They are in danger, and something bad might happen.
For the record, speaking
but
of also
Toy
things-
Story does not do
You're
any
right.
of this.
Toy Story is more depressing.
Yeah.
But no, speaking of Toy
Okay.
Story, there are several Toy Story references I couldn't help but notice too. There was obviously like the face, or how many of the faces look like the Sid's toys, the
Dude,
spidery
the baby
one.
by
The
itself.
baby one, yeah,
Yeah.
like there were a couple like.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing that was kind of distracting about this. I kept seeing other movies in this movie. I was like, all right, this is War of the Worlds. This is Toy Story. This is now we're in Mordor. I'm like,
because it's a
no.
lack of detail and identity, like Nathan was saying.
Yeah,
like it's just kind of blah, like black and brown, gray, like not really detailed anything. So like it's very indistinguishable from any kind of movie of this same.
Yeah,
mold.
and I know that you said that you didn't like 6, but I at least liked that 6 stood out
Oh
a
yeah.
bit more from
You could tell
everything
him
else.
from a ways away,
Yeah.
but
Why didn't 6 like 7?
tell me, did 7, 8, 9?
I don't think so. 8.
No,
was very
8 was a big boy.
was big.
Yeah, because 8, 8, 9.
8, 8, 7. 8, 8, 6 too. Actually, what were the missing numbers on this one? It was
No, they were all accounted for.
Were they?
I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
were
were.
every one of them.
I could have swore 8, 8, some of them on that one.
No.
Are we sure we didn't see? Did we miss a 2? I feel like I missed
Two died very early on.
Yeah.
2 was the first death, followed by like
2 was the first one 9 ran into.
Yeah.
And then he got
Oh, okay.
captured.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
then,
captured.
and then 9 killed him.
yeah.
And then 9 just killed the set person that he's got it. You know what?
I'm telling you, that was to me the worst part of the movie, but
I'll agree with you there.
the soul sucking out thing was
Yeah.
just, I guess, needed for the end of the movie, or like throughout the rest of the plot. But
Well, again, we just go back to like what was expected of this movie
Yeah.
narratively. The soul sucking thing seemed like it was going to be one of those things where it's just like, all of this scientist's soul going into this machine would like
Overpower it. Yeah.
fix the machine,
Yeah.
make it a force for good or something like that. And maybe that was ultimately because the whole returning to the source that Six was on about, like that seemed narratively like where it was going.
Yeah.
Not, what everything always ends up being, which is beat the baddie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it would have been so
the
much
baddie.
more interesting if it were just like this
Connects
Yeah,
the
this-
pieces.
coming together
Yeah.
and like
Right.
all becoming a part of this.
Because
one
we
thing
keep talking
that
about
you
them like
think you're
they're,
afraid
we keep
of.
talking about each of them like they're different parts of the professor's soul, but that's kind of said in like one line of dialogue, and it really isn't expounded upon. But like what Dylan said, like they could have made that a very interesting point with this movie.
Right, they
to
could
done
have.
that.
I think that you
They
could even
could've
make this
had
plan
our
B.
big villain character start to change the more of them that he absorbed
Mhm.
too. Like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that would have been
It was a
interesting.
machine though.
And I was still guessing up until.
Versus a-
but
versus a
but it
villain.
wasn't intelligence, and they even
Right,
showed
yeah.
in some of the videos of like it whenever the scientist was pulled away from it that it started like fighting with the people to like try and get to him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it has an intelligence. It's not just a pure malicious creature.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember thinking there was even a part like when it's the tail end where it's like reaching on the bridge where it's like, no, we need to connect, or whatever. Where I was just like, surely this is gonna be like now we're turning it sympathetic, and that he's
Yeah.
trying to connect everybody, and that this is like, actually, which I think would have been a great like different play on it. Humanity's more or less wiped. That we need to now plan B is we're uploading our consciousness into the robots. And it's just like, all right, we're just a robot humanity now. I'm like, all right, I think that's a much more interesting thing. But what we got was space bad, evil monster, kill monster.
Yeah, like
Also
the,
my
the
soul.
fact that it ends that way, I think, is just a rug pull on what it was building on.
It felt like they
and-
thought their budget just disappeared halfway through this movie, and they were like, shit. Well, how do we wrap up with the footage we
So
got?
I would
Blow 'em
equate
up.
this
Yeah.
to a D&D party that just thinks kill monster.
Yeah.
Or the bad guy. Like
Murder
they
hobos,
couldn't get
yeah.
around being murder hobos.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had gotten around that, this could have been a different story that ended in a much more positive tone.
They
than-
killed like 3 things though.
Yeah.
They-
Well,
They killed the big thing
Well,
ultimately.
yeah, they
too,
killed
though,
the
Yeah.
right?
yeah, but that's not a murder part. That's just like they
No,
all
but you
come
have-
together, little Davids.
But it.
old Davis.
I'm just saying it's not a
but
D&D
think
murder
about-
party
but
that
think
like
about
oh.
I mean, no, because they're literally killing everything that is coming up against them. They're not
It's like
thinking.
4 things.
They're not. But,
They've ran into four
Yeah, but
things.
so you're saying 100% of the time they kill it.
Well, they're only within a block radius.
You sound like me with Promare.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like. I think that like for what the movie is and how like long it is, like that you can't have
but
much
think about
more.
the ending here. The
Yeah.
ending, as we got it, was very bleak and hopeless. Like this is
Yeah,
now just
for
a
sure it
couple
was.
of little creatures that are living in this post-apocalyptic world where seemingly everything's dead. I know. So weirdly, in the last moments of this movie, they have it like raining
organism?
down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which like, what the hell does that?
I think
mean?
that was more just for design. Like I like about those little green
Yeah.
blob
Yeah.
things. Yeah, that was. I don't know. I just thought that was like okay, cool. There's that like tie into the movie poster
But,
of the green.
You know, imagine an alternative story where they had all merged
now we're
with
just
this
rewriting
machine.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but in a much better
Yeah,
way.
but we're better at this.
And
We're better.
it's a merging with the machine, and then like this positive, like
Yeah.
building, like
Yeah.
not building creature like robots for violence, but for like the restoration of the planet.
Yeah.
Right.
Cleaning up that rubble.
Like that would have been a far more interesting story than what we got.
And the fact that I thought that that's what we were getting. And
Yeah,
then
I
they
mean,
got
I
Red
thought
Bull,
that too.
yeah, I was
Again,
also
I
thinking-
don't. I had been so long, I didn't really remember.
Mm.
But yeah, that's where it really seemed like it was going. So it was just. It was disappointing that it pulled like it's teased that and then pulled it away from you because the main characters were murder hobos.
I guess you could say there was about 9 different ways we could have made this movie better.
Can
For
you
every
stop?
villain they killed,
Stop.
one of them died as well.
Yeah. If they went 1 for 1.
God.
Yeah, they did. They
no.
basically went 1 and
Yeah,
1
that's
on
true.
every fight,
Yeah.
essentially.
They were down to. I thought they were down to 4.
There was only 4 or 5 of them left.
There was only 4 at the end of it.
Yeah, and there's.
It was
And
3,
5 of them
4,
died.
7, and 9.
Yeah.
I did get a huge kick out of after like they thought that they killed the big bad, and then like
They were like,
a half a millisecond later, they're like, "Let's play some music.
Mm-hmm.
Let's crack out the beer. Let's do some
It's
party."
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, of course they're gonna get messed up." Like,
which
Duh.
Well, that was the thing too. It's like at that point too. I think I was sitting there thinking, I was like, God dang, this movie feels so short because I forgot about the final part. And then I was like, there's got to be something, but it did linger there for a long time. They were playing pranks on each other. They were spinning around the record player, having a good old time for like what felt like 5 minutes, and then see, I thought that part was cool. Whenever it was like coming up through like the fog and the smoke, I liked it.
Yeah, and John C. Reilly's like
5.
looking. He's like, "What do I see?" And then he sees the big monster. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" It's like, just tell the people that it's coming, you stupid.
The music was
idiot.
playing. The music was playing. He was
Yeah,
like
but if he
30
turned
yards
around
away.
and like went over the crest of the hill and was like
they're this big.
doing like this, like they would notice it. But instead, he's like, "Whoa, whoa." Good God, go back to Step Brothers.
You know, to be fair, if it was John C. Reilly in real life, I believe it's the same effect.
All that you heard was Tuskegee or what?
Yeah,
Taquito!
Yeah.
We're done now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Fat, thin, perfectly fit. The shape of the body of the movie. Nathan.
Man, I just I wanted something else. That's ultimately my problem here. Like, you either didn't wake it up to begin with, or once you did, you merged with it. That's what this should have been. So this went. This like I now that I've like kind of hit on the whole idea of it being like a D&D party, that's where my mind is on it now, and I'm just like, these players derailed the story so fucking bad.
Yeah. How dare they?
Yeah, it's rough. I
What's
don't
the
know.
shape?
I
Everything?
mean, runtime's fine, so I don't know. I don't really have much to say for it. It's like, I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
It is.
It is what it is.
First
That's the
one
first one.
ever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I can go on forever about how I'd want to change the movie, but that has nothing to do with, like, its runtime.
There's
Yeah.
strangely, I feel like there's an argument to say that it's both fat and thin, and I know that doesn't make sense, but like,
No, I mean it's kind of what Nathan's saying.
right, like that's the problem with it, right? There's like what we got was fat, but what I wanted was thin, and that's the truth. I went one of those Pizza Bells, yeah, the Pizza Hut Taco Bell joints,
yeah.
and I walked out with KFC somehow. That's how I feel about this movie.
And you didn't want KFC.
I didn't want KFC.
Want KFC.
And frankly, I don't know. I didn't really want a Pizza Bell at all either.
Pizza Bell.
Pizza Bell. That's gonna be Price's new name. I didn't want Pizza Hut or Taco Bell, so
Nobody ever does.
Me walking out of KFC didn't leave me any happier either. Yeah. So this is thin on what I. Yeah, that's the best way I can word it. I was thin on what I wanted. It was fat on everything I got. There we go.
Very simple answer. Thin for me. I think that this movie, for what it was, I wanted another robot creature. I wanted something more.
We could only have so many boss fights, Mason.
I mean, at this rate, it was 119 minutes, so 89 minutes.
Every
An
15
hour
minutes
and
we got a boss fight.
Yeah, so 89 minutes long. It's thin all day long. I think that they could have maybe added just about anything, whether it be a little bit more character development, a little bit more dialogue, actually, in between the. You guys say what you will. I think that the dialogue between them was
I didn't think that was
growing. I think that they
that
were
was fine. It was
all
fine.
becoming that family that they had all just been dispersed and kind of by themselves up until they finally started working together.
I feel like the semi-romance that was going on between 7 and 9 was really weird and not a thing that should happen.
So the
But
good thing
yeah,
is that they did
implication-
not they
yeah.
did not stay on that.
But
though.
she's
They
the
were
only
literally-
girl,
Yeah.
and he's the main character.
But there's also this
What
weird
else is he
implication
gonna
that
do?
this is also his soul.
Yeah,
Means-
so his feminine side, I suppose, the
Sure.
feminineness of this
Seven.
scientist
Yeah.
romancing some other aspect of himself.
There's some.
You say romancing. I think it was literally
No,
just
it
like
was-
No, it was-
slight,
It was
was
just like
romance.
this, like
Yes.
very
Build it.
slight. It was,
very little.
but
But if you
I
got
feel
20
like
more
it
minutes, you would've got a
should been
romance.
there,
That's
you
the
know?
problem.
No,
Like
it
that's
would
the
not have
thing. It's
gone
like it
towards
felt like
that.
it would have gone that way, and it felt like
yeah.
it left the door open
My
there
turn.
at the end.
Yeah.
Bryce's turn.
Tell me how
Yes,
thin it
Pizza
is.
Bell.
This movie is obese chonker American when it comes to action,
We're not
and
that
it is
fat.
thin skeletal third world country when it comes to story. They need to cut 30 minutes of the 50 minutes of action that they have. It is not needed. It is not that great.
Well, the spider or the snake one sticks though.
I don't care about the snake.
I care about the
Just
snake.
cut it down on the action. It's not needed. It's not that good, and it needs to be expounded upon on how these characters work. If they're actually parts of his soul, like how they can merge together, and then rewrite the ending of this. Like Nathan keeps saying, I very much agree with him on that. This movie has potential, but it misuses it in every which way. So, that's my opinion.
Was it
Fat and
Attack
Fat.
on the Senses bad though?
No, Promare had it.
Yeah.
Promare had a thing it was going for, and it hit it. And I love that.
Did it?
You all didn't like that.
Yeah, it hit my eyes
It's
with
fair.
colors and lights.
And I
Hit me
love
right in
that.
the jaw.
And I love that. It's not a movie I can watch all the time, but when
Oh, you'd
I'm
be
in
blind.
the mood and I want something just to like put on the sound system, turn off the lights, and just strobe out for a little bit, that's what I want to watch, and I like that.
Yeah.
But
I believe.
it achieved what it went for, whereas this movie did not.
Well, the thing is, we don't know what this movie went
I
for.
feel like this movie.
It doesn't know.
I don't know.
What this movie should have done with the fact that it's called 9
Mhm.
is they should have made 9 different endings to this movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it should have when it released in theaters, they should have sent out different versions of this film
Oh, that
to
would've been
every
cool.
theater.
Yeah,
That would have been awesome.
like Clue did. With
Right,
Like,
yeah,
they
the
had like
different-
4 endings. I
4
think,
different
or
endings to
5.
who does it.
Yeah.
Who's Shane?
This is the
That's the
director.
director.
He did Total Recall. Oh, he did visual effects of some of this stuff.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, we
Lord
need
of the Rings.
we
What
need
did
to
he do about Lord of the Rings?
scores.
Yep, go ahead.
No, we're not doing scores, you dummy. We got a question.
Oh, I was just gonna ask what everyone's favorite robot character was, like the villain.
The snake.
All right.
I already said it. It's the best. It ate
I mean,
people. It ate 8.
I wanted it to be the machine
Yeah.
that was building the things.
Mm.
That it should have been that,
Yeah, should have been Sauron.
but it's not.
I liked the cat, like the saber tooth freaking tiger thing that like
Boy.
they first come and dude, the thing had claws. I think it was gnarly.
I mean, that it was literally the skeleton of
Just
a cat.
skeleton,
Yeah.
yeah, just like a mechanized skeleton of a cat, which I also have more questions on that later. But
I like the bird.
Birdie.
Yeah, the bird.
Birdie.
The big like scissor mouth thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
We're-
a good design.
We are like skipping over like the blimp thing where it was just like lurking and it was just looking, and then as soon as it got like latched onto it, it went.
Well, yeah, it had the little arms and it like
Yeah.
grabbed the little siren and started
Yeah.
like.
It seems like the least threatening thing I've ever seen, though. Like,
But I love it. It was just like a what do you call those? Not a sensor, but just like a siren. Like it was
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
It didn't have any weaponry. It was just like to sound the alarm.
right. I feel like I wanted to pick on it. You know, that's like the vibe it gave off.
You wanted to
Like,
poke it.
It's,
I would've pushed it into
it's
a
the
locker in
alarm
high school.
robots from World of Warcraft.
yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to avoid them. They run off, gather up a bunch of enemies to come back and beat you up.
I know that reference from Hearthstone. It's the only
Yeah.
reason I know it.
Oh yeah.
Right, who's going first?
Go for it.
Price.
All right.
Yeah.
I originally was going into this on the way here. I was thinking like, I think this is like a 6.5. Like I'm, like it's pretty good for what it is, whatever. But then after talking to you all and actually thinking about this movie a bit more, because I didn't think enough when watching this movie.
You?
Oh my god, it has dropped dramatically. Yeah, I mean, because you all are right. Like I want more from this movie, and the more I think about, like, even when I got done watching, like that was a lot of action, and then now thinking more, I'm like, it was too much action. It's not what it needed. It didn't achieve what it went for. I've already said my piece, and Fat Thin, I feel like, so it's a 3 for me.
God.
It's-
That's a wow.
that
I know
just
it's a
shows how-
precipitous drop.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like,
Trying to
'cause-
use words you don't know.
that's what
I'm
I
trying to
thought.
use words I don't know.
That's rain.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was gonna go with, but man, like you're right. Like the ending was going up to be something else, and then it went for something different. The voice acting was very noticeable for me. Nobody tried playing a character when voice acting, and it's just a dark, dismal world that's not detailed in the slightest. So yeah, it's not for me.
Well, credit to Elijah Wood. He was shooting this between Lord of the Rings or like right before Lord of the Rings or something, I think.
I think this movie came
I,
out. in
I don't think that's a
2010.
credit to him.
Is it
I think
2010? I thought it was 2001.
I think
I
that,
watched this movie
that
in my
just
first
means even
apartment.
more that he phoned it in,
Yeah,
Oh,
because he's just thinking about other stuff.
yeah.
which is not good. I think all the voice acting in this was not very
No.
good at all,
2009
which led to
came
me
out.
not really caring what anybody, like any of the characters had to say. The story, like the lore of the world, is what was more interesting and what should have carried a much more intriguing
It's the first Blade Runner
telling
issue.
than
gonna
what we
say-
got.
And the catalyst for the story is dumb.
Mhm.
And then you combine that with visually a very unimpressive looking movie.
Replicants is what you're thinking of. Blade
Um,
Runner.
You know,
You
the
said Highlander.
good
are
design
those
on a
called?
bunch of characters, but ultimately this movie just falls flat on story, voice acting, visuals, like pretty much
All the fronts.
anything that it could do, it didn't do well.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like really just knocking it on its face so badly, but honestly, the more I think about this movie, the more it's just a disappointment than anything. So I guess I'm gonna land at like a 4 with it, because it should have been so much more than what it was, and they had the ability. Even if like
They did.
they didn't have to make it visually amazing, they could have told a good story. Despite that, I wouldn't let that hold it back. Although that's usually what helps things get really high and above for me. But this one couldn't even do that for me. So there it is.
Yeah, so this movie just makes me think about a bunch of movies that I kind of didn't care about, and that's not great.
Like War of the Worlds and
War of the
Terminator.
Worlds, Terminator, T2's fire.
They all are pretty okay.
Yeah, they're all pretty okay, but T2 is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, that one didn't do well. Not in the Oscars or in the box office.
Every movie you just named is pretty substantially
Yeah.
high scoring.
And honestly, I think I'd rather watch all those ones. I remember thinking like, yeah, the amalgamation of this is just it's so many moving gears in a machine that shouldn't have been built. And if it was gonna be built, I wish it was doing something different. Somebody built a clock, and I wanted something and I ordered a pancake making machine, and I'm very frustrated with this. Nothing to be said that we haven't already said. The story definitely went. I wanted it to go right. It went to Albuquerque, and that's an older person reference. You'll get that, Looney Tunes fans. I think this is the first movie I've gotten on this score range in a while. This is truly a definitive 5.5. We're going under 6 on this one. It's bad. It's annoying bad. It's not so bad that it's horrendous. It definitely isn't super long, and it's like not bloating with it. But gosh, for the time that it's there, it feels long. My attention span was like wanting to go all sorts of other places on this one. I thought about making dinner, thought about doing laundry, and like I watch movies. Like unlike some people who may or may not watch the movie entirety with their full
There's
attention.
definitely a reason I didn't remember anything about this movie, and I, in a few years, will probably continue to not remember anything about this movie.
That's fair. Then that's fair. So 5.5.
Mason, give us your Promare score!
I don't think that, Nathan, you'll ever be able to forget this movie with how much you had to say about it. In 5 years, you're still going to be saying, man, I wish I would have had the movie that ended like this and this and this and this and this.
I feel
and
him. Like Crimson Peak or whatever. Like, I feel like I had a lot to say on that one. I can't
Yeah.
remember a thing about it except
that
Loki is the
clay.
main guy.
No, I don't remember anything from that movie. But
The
we
set
also...
design and the costume design was really
Yeah, besides like that lady walking down the hallway.
And the guy Loki gets the scissors to the eye, and the clay is bleeding out. That's fucking sick. What a cool
The scissors
movie.
to the eye, that was Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, he had like a cut on his face at some point because I remember there's like some red mist coming out.
Yeah,
of it whenever
No,
goes
he gets
towards
cut
the end
too.
of it.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
so-
about
But
the
I don't
gardener.
think it was like scissors to the
No,
eye.
you're right. That does happen on. Anyway, not the point. So
Anyways.
9.
This movie, for what it was, for the action that it gave, the story that it wanted to go with, and the ending that it ultimately ended up with,
Inflate.
I enjoyed it. I think that it was totally fine, and it was dark, dreary, did not have that nice ending of, like, oh...
You do hate nice endings.
Yeah, like, give me something more original. I could watch Ratatouille or any of these other movies that Pixar and DreamWorks puts out that everyone lives, everyone ends up the exact same way they started. There's not anything lost nor gained, really.
This movie ends how it begins. It's a terrible place, and at the end, it's a terrible place.
Yeah, and it's bad.
Nothing
And it's
changes.
a terrible place where they destroyed the last thing that could have built anything out.
Yeah,
Of it.
yeah.
Well,
And they have
it's
less
still
friends and
dreary,
family.
nonetheless. Yeah.
Arguably, it's
All
worse.
dreary.
And Taquito's gone.
They killed Taquito.
So, wait, so you're saying that people actually were lost?
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah.
So they started with this many, they ended up with this many, and I like
And
that.
Mason likes that.
Yeah, I do. I think that animated movies are all
this
cookie
could've-
cutter.
I think
What?
They
the
are.
No, he's right.
I
They
feel
are
like my
seven,
No!
seven, seven, seven,
is like-
seven.
it's a different kind of like it's not a happy ending. It's not a traditional happy ending for it to have ended the way I
No,
feel
yeah,
like it should.
it still has like a.
It's a very weird, haunting ending because it's all the characters dying, but it's
Yeah.
dying for a like future they won't know. You know?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think they could have found some Christian money to back this too if they made it somehow that they all come back together and they go to
Nazi
heaven.
Germany.
Yeah, like whatever. If they're
Yeah.
like you're like it's a Schindler's List of like the like of the, whatever. Give me
Mason,
that.
please give your score.
For all of these things, literally just the movie that I watched front to back, and not 10 different endings that I also wanted. I'm gonna give it an 8. I liked it.
Whoa!
I
think
knew it.
that the
You
movie-
defended it like an 8.
It's not half as bad. Like for you to say, oh yeah, on your way here, it was actually a good movie, but then like to hear.
Because I
some-
actually thought about it for a second.
You thought about it for the past 24 minutes that we've been talking.
Yeah, I
and
didn't think
listening
about
to
the
them.
movie while I was watching it. It's like, oh yeah, that happened.
Can we clip
That
that for all
No
future
shit.
references?
That's what
Because
I'm saying, like,
frankly,
you're just digging yourself up here, but like
frankly, for
I don't
as
know,
many
I
times
just-
as I could use that.
for what it was, if anything, gosh, I agree 100%. I wish it was longer. Like that is my main qualm with this movie.
All right, so you're strongly high on it, but do you confirm or disagree with the fact that the way that the story pans out? I don't need it to be a happy ending, but it just was a boss thing we have to kill at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Good, or
Most
do we
movies
think
are like that anyway.
right? But would it have been better if we're going more like me and Nathan are writing this movie?
You don't want this to be like most movies.
I don't want it to be a happy ending. I mean, listen, it doesn't necessarily have to be happy either. It could just be like this just shuts down the machines, period, and the people left over have to deal with it.
They basically did shut
They-
the machines down.
Right, let's say they pan out and you see a couple like I don't know, you see a couple fucking kids playing with the dead bodies of the little
So they
ragdolls
just
or something.
they just came from underneath the rubble and now there's
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah, like let's say there's like
I don't like that in it either.
Come on.
well, we're
get-
only in one block. They go one block over, and they find people or something.
Come on, get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Play.
the rain raining down is just little bacterial humans. that
Yeah.
just
So
start
that's the Big
growing
Bang
up.
again.
Yeah,
Like, it
it
just
is.
kind of
It's
like
just restarting.
resparks humanity.
Mhm.
I was fine with it.
Again, I see this
Give
so.
me a dreary movie and I'm okay with it. Just something different from the usual, something different from the norm.
I see this as your Promare. And with Promare, I at least was like, I see why you all don't like it.
No.
That's fair. Do,
What movie did we
do
watch
you
last
see
week?
us? Do you
What did we
see
watch
our
last week?
points?
Kung Pao?
Yes, Kung Pao.
Yeah.
This is the exact same where everyone was fucking up here and I was like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? We need that still. 3 out of 4.
I'm 2 weeks strong now.
I know,
I'm
you're-
going against the grain.
But
Yeah.
comedy is subjective. Kung Pao, not everybody's on think's funny, and if,
No.
and if it's not funny for
Definitely
you,
not.
it's a bad movie.
I think
Yes.
animation
That's
could be
it,
like
easy.
that too. Whether it be design style like Wolf Walkers or stop
get that,
motion,
"Whoa!"
whatever it is. I like the unique things, and for this to be an animated movie that is, I think, unique with just its ending, let alone anything else, just its dreary, dark, ugly ending. I like it a lot for that.
I'm gonna pick.
All right.
I'm gonna sit there and make you watch like Balto or something like that.
I've seen both. Wait, is that the
That's the
Steel?
Slumdog one.
Yeah, I've seen
yeah,
that one.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, kid dies.
I'm just gonna DM a campaign with 9 people and just have them play through this.
Make sure
story.
they're little
No,
sacrifices.
it's a little one shot and then
Yeah, it's just like, can you
Get to
make
the
a
story.
better movie than what 9 was?
This has to have a better plot.
Mason there, he's like, no, we kill it. No questions asked. What,
Murder hobo!
yeah. So we're 3 out of 4 on this one, but what did critics have to say about this movie?
I don't know. Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes score is. It says 58%. Let's see what
50?
tomato meter. Oh yeah, they're
50.
the same. Critics and audience is the same. 58 to 56%.
Mm. So
Seems pretty.
pretty coin flippy on these ones, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, middle
Yeah.
of the road.
Very.
I guess for them.
Well, if your price, and if you use that metric, so right, 55 is
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a little
Yeah.
under from most critic or most.
Yeah, your score is like a 2.5 in most books.
No, a
It
2.5
is.
would be a 2.5.
Nope.
In my book.
How many 6s have you heard us give? Or 5.5s? It's
Yeah,
not very
5.5
often.
I'll tell
7
you.
is like the average for you all.
5 is very.
Alright.
No, we're not animated fans. Anyways, we gotta spin a wheel.
Let's watch Marriage Story.
That's what it's gonna
Yes!
be. There's
Oh.
17.
More controversy.
There's 17
Oh.
marriage stories. Let's see if we can
Tell me it's Bullet Train.
Oh boy.
10 years ago, top movie.
Oh.
It's the category. You thought you could escape it and you would
Did we
get
do
Marriage
like
Story?
this date too? Didn't we say like as of like
Yep.
February?
February.
Yeah,
we
as
did.
of
We said
today.
like as of today.
We're the only ones watching this video anyway, so let's just go ahead and pick one.
Movie
Sorry, Nathan.
23.
I'm just gonna let you guys. We're all. All right, fine. I'll do it too.
2013.
2013.
Identity
I never
Thief.
Looked at these.
No shit, I don't want to watch that movie. That's
Ja-
that comedy with
What
Identity Thief. Isn't that one?
Oh, that one's so bad.
Yeah, with Sandra Bullock and that.
A Good Day to Die Hard's not
Girl.
bad though.
Warm Bodies is number 2.
More Bodies is trash.
I just watched it
What-
again the other day.
What'd you type in? What's the search bar?
Top movie, February 2013.
Barbie and the Pink Shoes.
Shut the fuck. Those aren't real.
Yeah, it is. Hansel and Gretel get baked.
Identity Thief is the
So,
top
yeah.
one.
Yeah. Silver Linings Playbook. Actually,
Dang, dude. You guys really want to watch Identity Thief?
No,
I mean, that's the one that's
but it is.
And
by
it killed. The gross is
It did.
huge.
That movie killed.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right.
I
well,
guess we're watching Identity Thief.
Let's do it. Price, you
Jason
love comedies.
Bateman and
and
McCarthy.
Yeah,
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa
Yeah,
McCarthy.
that's
That's
it.
who I was trying to
What about
think
Spiders 3D?
You're scraping the bottom of
So Undercover, Miley
Hey,
Cyrus?
there we go.
Come on.
Who are those
A
liquors
Good
in
Day to
there?
Die Hard is actually not bad.
no, it really isn't that bad. Honestly,
But-
I low key want to watch Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
Well,
like, can we?
This movie.
Why did-
Yeah, I guess Identity Thief. I
Okay, I don't know
can't
if we've
see
like said this
anything.
clear enough.
Yeah, this category. How does this
the
work for all the fans at
category
home?
is the top box office movie today 10 years ago,
Yes.
I just-
which was Identity Thief.
It might be okay. I don't know.
Everything else I'm seeing in February is just.
February is a
Oh,
bad
these are
month
bad
for
months.
movies.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It's always been.
All right, we'll just watch
Wait
it.
a second.
What?
Alright.
Released February 8th. This released February 1st. So actually today it would have been Warm Bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to go.
My
on
impression
the-
of this category was
the month.
like 10 years ago, a movie that came out in this time. I didn't think grossing
It
mattered.
says top
did it?
movie.
No, it's not. It's not.
Literally, it
about the
says 10 years ago top movie.
Yeah,
So like,
Oh.
yeah. No, we did.
Yeah,
kinda-
that's the way we shortened
That's
it.
the way
but
we
it was
shortened
like today 10 years ago.
right.
Eh,
I mean, we can watch Warm Bodies. I actually like that movie.
I can't remember it.
It's on Hulu.
I mean, it's what came out today 10 years ago.
So
I'll defer. I can watch either. I don't
That's-
care.
Yeah, you guys
yeah.
pick out of
I mean, Warm
Yeah.
Bodies is technically meeting the rules.
I think it's Warm Bodies.
I don't
By
forget the rules.
technicality.
Identity Thief or Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies, then.
Yeah.
There.
There it is. Think
I
of
was this close to watching Melissa McCarthy
Uh,
act just like the same way she does in
Every
every
movie.
fucking movie she's ever in. This close.
So,
Remember
wow.
that puppet movie she was in a few years
Oh,
ago?
that was the one of what was the adult one? Right?
Yeah, it's like an adult puppet movie where she's like a
Yeah,
cop or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, that one probably was bad too. And then
Heat.
Jason Segel.
Or hot or something.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it doesn't
I
matter.
remember a puppet movie being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
a
my.
puppet movie. There was a sex scene with puppets.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, make sure to tune in next week for Warm Bodies. Something that we don't have. It's very cold right now.
It's chilly.
Which will be funny. This will release in like May or something.
Yeah.
We'll be sweating.
And we're gonna be like freezing from ice storm. If you like the content we do, always let us know in the comments below what you thought of the movie 9. If you watched it, if you didn't watch it, Kelly Senior, let me know if splitting your soul 9 ways and not reforming it through a giant machine is sacrilegious. I'm sure there's a chapter about that. Is it chapter 7? Let me know.
It's 2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Trump said.
That'd be chapter 42.
Give us the big thumbs up because we continue to watch movies sometimes even to avoid Marriage Story 17 times on the wheel.
Yeah, I'll erase that one and put that one on there too.
Yeah. Make sure to hit the bell so you know when we put up all these great content as always, and as always subscribe. Let us know that you love us. We love you.
Always subscribe. Every
Always
single
time. And that now you might say,
Yeah,
Bryce,
if
isn't
you're-
that just unsubscribing and subscribing again?
yes.
Yes, but
Yeah, you just alternate.
Yeah.
Keep
Like-
us guessing.
Yeah.
it does, but it gives us
Those
notifications
notification
every
bells.
time, and that lets us read our bells. So
Yes.
that's more listening to the bell. Anyway, guys,
Pizza bells.
we'll catch you. Pizza Bell. We'll catch you next week with Pizza Bell on Warm Bodies. Bye, guys.
Woo!
That was very gender
Bye.
exclusive of you to say.
Pizza Bell?
You said
Guys.
guys.
You said guys.
We got a new subscriber!
Hey!
We're at 32!
30 you! Pizza.